So we're looking at this cut angle coming into the shot. All right, so maybe apparently now we have our audio working. All right, so Aaron Carlisle took the first break here, or took the first rack after Darren Morgan had the break off a lag. And Aaron Carlisle here coming in rack 2 goes up 1. They are playing winner breaks, which is a little bit of a variance change where if you hook yourself, you can't use a jump cue. However, if your opponent so one ball in the side pocket. That's rotation pull. Let's see what it looks like this way. See if it gets any better. It does look like he's going to be tied up some there. Maybe he can get a little spin on this ball to stay at the table here. If he does spin the ball, you potentially can get a little shake out. He might kick the ball here too. The kick percentage goes up, I believe, when the spin because it's so close. But you have to decide whether you're trying to reach across the table and use the bridge. It certainly adds to the difficulty factor. Really like how Aaron is spending his time really wisely here, trying to find the angles that are going to keep him shooting through this rack well. Really respect the amount of time he's putting in here. Went for a 2 rail. Hit it like Effie shot. Did not make contact though, so it's going to give Darren Morgan ball in hand. I think we were pretty traditional with the rules where it's more like BCA, so I'm sure 3 fouls in effect. But still staying with that winner break situation for them. They're just going to play the ball backwards a little bit. Might not like what he gets here. Might be able to make that adaptation that's going to work out. So Aaron now kind of back at the table. I think he's really going to keep looking at his options, obviously, to stay in control and at the table. And if he's not at the table, to make sure Darren doesn't have a good place to really get started from. Just a little ball speed control here really keeps this rack in his favor. I like the work he put in, the way he went with the cut. He just, wasn't quite on the right angle and ended up still leaving it difficult for Darren. Darren punches at it, hits the ball, almost makes it around the table twice, gets it in. However, the cue ball found its way all the way into the pocket. There's Aaron Carlisle again back at the table. To see where he wants to be to get his best rack percentages aligned here. Leaves himself a little bit of an angle on the 4 ball. I think it's going to get a little bit tougher in shape on the 5. Stroke's going to keep him in it with it here. You talk about take your medicine, where you're just going to take the bad side of the ball or that you don't like as much. And this medicine here is going to be maybe try to do a little more with it than he wants to. Exactly the case there. He had a good concept, good idea. Just those don't always work. I think it's that simple. Those don't always work. He was daring a back cut. Maybe there's a bank. Maybe there's a bank kick to the 9, but I'm pretty sure he just back cut this. Maybe run into the 5 a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he was calling that 9 shot. Either way, he leaves it in his favor slightly. Aaron having to go up and take another deep breath again. As he looks at here, obviously I think he's got a kick situation, but which way does he want to go with it? We want to map this out some here. You come down here, then you got to spin it over here, but it's a wide open shot, and if you do pop the ball, you do get what you need out of it to get back to the 5. Where you come this way, the cue ball's got to roll up a little bit better, so you can cut the 5 to shape to the 7. However, maybe that was a two-way shot where he's attempting the shot and the safe ball in one. And if it is, well, then we're going to sit back and just give you a little bit of a nice applause there, Aaron Carlisle. Either way, it worked out certainly in your favor. So DERON now sees shoe off to the side, really looking at what he's dealing with here. He has blocked up jump shots an option, but it's a little bit of a longer jump. Maybe that's what he's going for here. It looks like that's a jump cue. I've seen one before. That looks like one. So he's keeping it. No, he decided not to go with the jump cue. Something about it just didn't feel right. He's going to come up maybe times 7.5. Spin it, or is he going to do a full cue jump? Let's see what he does. Just a back cut. Did he call that, though? Let's see what happens here. Oh, no, it doesn't. He says, nope, that wasn't it. Apparently that's the shot, though, at least that time. It's to the corner pocket. I believe it's the 5 ball. Oh, he's going to bank it. He's going to bank it and let it drift out a little bit. Just shape the 7 to the bottom right corner. Does it go in? Oh, rattle, rattle, unfortunately. But here we are with the 8 ball on the way. It's 10 ball too, I would say. DERON might need to put a little bit of side spin, just mass the on this. Just let it go around and come off the rattle with the spin. Does to come through the cut, cheats the pocket, gets it to drop, shapes the 7 ball. Well, that's one of the shots you should make. All right. Now just looking at the 7. He might be banking this to the 9 if he's not cutting it. No, he's cutting it. Makes that pocket big too. Really lets that ball together naturally. Alright, so Darren, hopefully focus on with a little bit of patience and work here. Pot this 8-9, put the 10 likely in the side pocket, but if not, one of the corners, he's got 6 pockets, the 10 can go. Oh, good. Hey, John. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of distortion, you said? Alright, let's see if there's anything we can do about that. Looks like everything on my end that I can see looks pretty good. See if I can turn the volume down a little bit. Maybe the volume's too high. So, let's see if that's any better. Mr. Bowman, welcome to the stream, as always. Alright, so Darren Morgan, racking here. I'm going to mark up his point there on EvoSports. EvoSports doing so much for the entire sport of pool with platforms and more and more so we can all remotely commentate, support the sport as best as possible. Let's see what Darren's break produces here. Nice big pop break, stay out of the pole. Oh, look at that. Oh my, I believe we're going to see a push shot here. I don't, how do you even do that? Like that, that's quite the break. They're looking at it. So this is where the one opportunity of having a push shot after the break is going to actually help because that's all he really can do is push. However, with that push, Aaron Carlisle does have the ability to just give it back to him, be like, I'm not going to do that, but Aaron might want to jump this. It's fairly close to jump over. He gives it back to Aaron, to Darren. Oh, is it, John? Okay. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, you are correct. It is a foul double hit. I guess the push doesn't necessarily negate the double hits. So he does leave Aaron with the ball in his way. So he has a kick shot opportunity, a jump shot opportunity. Why? So you go after the jump here because the kick's pretty natural. And going back to what you said earlier, John, is that always call something. I think here, yeah, Aaron should probably be calling that one ball to the the bottom right, the corner pocket down there, because there's a good chance it goes in. If it does, he will naturally probably get decent shape on the two if he doesn't crush this thing. Ooh, just barely doesn't get there with it either. Man, that was such a great attempt to contact that ball and get a good legal hit, if at the bare minimum. So Darius got going to do a cut off the rail with the one shape for the two. Pulls it back. Keeps it nice and tidy there too. Gives himself a little bit of angle on the two. Just gotta understand what he's gonna do with the three here. Wonder if he's just gonna shoot this ball and shoot off the rail to get it past the eight and just take the angle that he gets on the three instead of trying to do too much with it. Oof, he tries to pull back. I think he tries to get it a little too good there. You gotta be careful of that sometimes. It will come back and bite you. As a player myself, I still do it too often. So sometimes you just gotta be good, but not too good. So Aaron, he's got the little bit of edge angle on this. He might be able to come a little inside top and get it to pocket speed and still have a great shape shot on the three ball. He does it well. That was well executed. Put just enough hold on the ball and let it drift right into the line. So now he's got a couple of good natural lines he can use to get to the four ball. But we're trying to put the four to the top left corner, but we will see where he puts his adjustment. And he was trying it to the top left corner. He shot it well, just maybe just a hair off on the cut. Because the speed to the four was nice. It didn't just rattle off the inside of the points. So Darren's going to work through a thin cut here. Bounces down, 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 get on a little rail, and it's a little tight with a back cut for Aaron. But nothing unreasonable here. Not unreasonable at all. Alright, pots that. But I don't know if he has enough room to make this ball over here. No, there's a 10 ball in the way. But 10 ball might go. Well, we know the 10 ball can physically go, but does Aaron feel comfortable with that? Or what else does he feel comfortable with? Might look at a tight safe here, kind of like the shot he made a few back there where he uses the angle, tie up to the 10. If he's got just enough room to get, I think he has enough room to get the 8 ball, or the 4 ball, sorry, to go by the 10. And if he can hold the cue ball coming in, the stopping at the 10, tie it up, at that point it really doesn't matter exactly where the 4 is because the 10 is just completely consuming the cue ball. So let's see what he does. He goes for a safe. I believe he was going for safe there, but you kind of leak that when you do that safety. That safety percentage kind of is a little iffy with the speed control as much as the tighter close safeties. But you never know. It's one of those things of maybe Aaron can do that. If he does 10 times out of 10, he gets 7 of them. So we just saw one of the 3, and that's nothing wrong with that. That's typical good growth and where you're at with your pool game and your percentages and how you work through them. John, I was looking at that earlier. It was still pretty close then. I think they were about 10 games apart. And I was kind of thinking that, they might do what they've done in the past where Fedor gets that big lead and then Van Boning wakes up and goes, oh, yeah, I need to go, play. And then he tries to make this big comeback. But maybe that's not the case here. Fedor's really working on trying to continue to make himself that powerhouse of, being a champion. And Shane's already done that for a good many years. All right, so Aaron left himself out pretty well in the 8 here. Just roll up, cut the 9 to the corner, come off the rail, and you're right on the 10 ball. Cleans the pocket, nice pocket speed. Little more distance, I think, between the cue ball and the 9 ball than he really wanted. But the angles and the rail's going to let him do pretty well with it. Push the ball a little bit as he comes through the stroke, I believe, just to get the speed control to come out. Oof. It's I think that's a stroke timing thing. He was right there, and just I think the timing and the hesitation just showed up and spun the ball a little early. See if Darren gets around the shape of it. All right, Darren gets decent shape on the 10. See if he cleans it up. He gets it. All right, Darren's going to go up one here. Winner break format, 10 balls, so it means Darren's going to own his table. Mark his second point as he goes around two. They're using the rack as well. And as a pool player again myself, I have most every rack there is, just about, I think. But the slotted one really sticks to the table well. Yeah, John Bowman. I, I'm glad you feel that way, and we certainly do our best to make sure it's a great match and good commentary and the whole bit there. However, I said, yeah, watching that earlier, it was one of those things of like there were a lot of people in the chat like this is boring. It was just like that's it feels a little rude just to say that in the chat between those two gentlemen playing, but the way it was going, kind of was because it just doesn't look or feel like Van Boney's in it the way he had been in the past. Because we can go back a couple of years. I believe it's a couple of years ago when they were playing, and Gorse being the jump artist that he is with making jump shots. The early in that match, Shane, attempted to safety Gorse and left him some room, and he got up and made the jump, made the shot, and then later on, Shane got it tight all the way, and the rumor is that he walks by him and he goes to jump that. So that's fun, good sportsmanship. I feel like where we're just two competitors are really just giving it their best effort, and yeah, and maybe it doesn't feel like that right now. But the match isn't over, right? That's the thing with this sport or many sports is the match isn't over until it's done. Many things can happen along the way. So, and that's what we're doing here. We see what happens along the way, right? As spectators and commentators, as these two gentlemen do their best at this game today. All right, so Aaron at the table, nice shot on the one. Not a lot of trouble on this table, really. I mean, the up table where the 4-6, I believe, is. You're dealing with something, but you got to get through the first shot, unfortunately, Mr. Carlisle. And I know you can make that shot, and something probably mechanically didn't go right there for you. All right, so Darren doesn't have a whole lot with this ball here. He's got some opportunities to make sure he makes contact and maintain table control. I'm pretty sure that's what we're looking for out of this, right? Make contact, maintain table control. You think he called it down table? Let's see if he gets it. Oh, man. He was trying to feed it through, but unfortunately he made the cue ball really small in that pocket, really large. When you do that, your opponent gets ball in hand. So maybe that's right. A little bit better for Aaron versus where it was when he was at the table previously. Because he gets to come around potentially, or he should maybe hold up for the 4. He needs to hold up for the here. Needs to get that nice ball placement from this shot. He's going to kick it out. Not too bad, though. Not too bad. Probably a safety work now if he doesn't go for a shot. I was trying to exactly figure out, too, if that was the 3 or the 7 down table. And I believe it was the 7. So Aaron now with a cut shot he has to work through. Winner is going to try to get it thin and get some shape out of it. I don't know if that's what he was trying to do, or just get the hip full. Either way, he worsens the situation for Aaron, unfortunately, because now we've blocked the 4 with the 8, and we've buried the 6 between 2 balls, and its pocket opportunities have lessened quite a bit. It's manageable, but now we have to start making riskier shots after we pop the 1 here. Also, the kick shot. Kick off the rail, or sorry, the 4. Kick off the rail, cut the 4th. That's what he's attempting. Impact, and then also rail impact in a safety situation that's not a foul. We'll certainly keep him at the table. He's calling it back over to the side pocket here. This is an interesting attempt. Let's see what this looks like in practice. Oof. I guess it would be in practice to be with it didn't work, but that was great pursuit of trying to make that shot. It really was. So Darren's going to really have to look at the 6 here and where he's going to pot the 6 and how he's going to maintain control to get it over there. And I think he's doing a great job with what he's doing here. Just come across table. Cut it to the top right of the table. Come across. Pot the 6 in the same pocket. Come around for the 7. And from there, you're getting close to out. Left himself a little on the thinner side. I think he's just going to be aggressive with it a little bit, spin it, and he is. I've seen him do that more times than an average player, I think, does. But however, he gets it right a lot. So if you know, you know. Gets down, table double hit, doesn't put it in. Let's Aaron get back to the table here. All right, Aaron to cut it. Just let it drift off the rail. A little bit of running spin just to make sure the ball gets all the way in the pocket as the cue ball gets through it. Just well done. Put himself in a little less percentage than he'd like to be. He might go down table with the cue ball, or up table, I should say. The break box. Yeah, this is well done. Yeah, he would have liked the 10 ball to not be there or been to the other side previously, but he put himself in a place here to where he gets to really still stay positive on his shot. I think here you definitely just want to focus most of your efforts on making this ball and getting through it with a little bit of speed, not too much, just enough so that you know you're coming across the 10 line enough to just have shape. Just like that. That was well done, Mr. Carlisle. Well done. Finish this up to make it 2-2. All right, they're keeping this thing going well. The winner break format obviously will show up here where Aaron Carlisle is going to rack his own, walk around the table, mark a 2 on the EvoSports platform. Being presented here from Mount Vernon, Washington by Distinguished Billiards. Your commentator today is me, Gregory Jitz. Jason Fick is our lead commentator. He's just doing his family life this weekend, and so it's always movements of people's schedules to make sure we have commentators getting to these matches as I put these things on. And if you'd like to jump into commentary at any point, let me know, and I can help get you set up too with Distinguished Billiards. Looking at you, John Bowman, that you could join in to do some commentary. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, John, let me know. Or Aaron Carlisle to break. And potting the balls well to the side pocket. He does get one of them in. Do it well, you get two. It's more important though that you just pot one and get some decent shape on the one ball, and Aaron does. Darren Morgan stepping up to see if we can't get that rack out of the way early, but apparently that ball is still firmly in place. So we're going to let that sit there. Does the one go by the six? That's the question I believe this gentleman is asking himself. Does the one go by the six? He says maybe it does. Oof. Now, I think there might have been enough room there if that was actually an attempt, but if it wasn't, that's a solid safety though, because he doesn't give Darren a perfect opportunity. Darren does have the ability to kick this way and then come down here, come back across, and make contact in that version of things. And I speculate what he's going to do because it's about the best percentage he has to contact this ball at this moment. Hopefully he's not too inside. Yeah, that's it's easy to say something about that when you're looking at an overhead camera view versus when you're actually at the table. But a lot of times, as a player, they always working on growing those kick opportunities, doing them better and better myself. You start to come over here first and look at the angle from this side of the table, and then go backwards and really find a good starting point where you're spinning the ball less to get higher percentage outcomes. But again, it's always easier to sit in a chair and talk about how good it is, right? So Aaron, look at the two issue he has here because he's got to get through a little bit of shot work here, and if he does, then his opportunity to run this rack out really increases. But it comes down to this little critical moment here. This one might not roll as favorable with a safety if he doesn't try and save. Let's see what he gets here. Goes for it all the way in the pocket, but that works out fairly good for that. Darren's going to struggle to make the ball. He might try and bank this to the bottom right corner. That's probably his highest percentage to pocket something. Oh, but he bumps the ball. Oh no. Oh no. This is dangerous. This is how you start to give away a rack early in a match. Especially with Aaron being pretty focused. Not a lot of movement, mechanical mistakes, maybe a little bit of stroke timing jitters, but other than that, being a little dangerous with it. And by dangerous, I mean precise. This is clinical. This ability to stay at the same consistency. It looks good. Comes down, gets up, takes the angle. Potentially, percentage says, I think maybe. See how he yeah, it does go in that pocket. Goes in the bottom left corner as well. It's a lot of work. Gives you better shape, but higher risk. So I think he's going to take the low risk, even after he makes it. Oof. Kind of puts a snap on it. That's the thing with that shot. You can go all the way past pocket speed, all the way to rail speed, all the way to start to punch, and back it off a hair. But that's the most you can do. You snap it. That diamond rail is so bouncy. It's going to make you think about yourself. Darren hits it quick and gets away with it. You know. Well, John. There's the old saying: you can one hand and try to get shape with the other and see what happens, right? Yeah, no, I wouldn't want that shot either. But it is manageable to make that shot and pinch across the table and just hold yourself underneath it enough to not have to overhit it. All right. Let me switch mics. See if it gets better. Check, check, check 1, 2. All right. So different mic setup now. Different headset. Does this one sound better? So Darren Morgan taps that in nicely. I think he's going to come around the table here to get to the 8. 10 ball going to the top right pocket more than likely with a cut shot. All right, there we go. All right, thank you, John, and Mr. Carlisle, Swayze Carlisle. Yeah, thank you as well. Yeah, let me know. Yeah, we've had a couple situations in these headsets we were using before. They were working perfectly, and now there's been a few hiccups. So I think I'm going to have to figure out a change with those. Yeah, it shouldn't be though, because it wasn't before, and nothing's changed. So other than if the level, if EvoSports has their level turned up in OBS, that might be becoming a thing. Let me turn my my volume down some. Is that any better? So I've turned down the volume there. Let me look at my mic settings. It might be that I'm coming up through too loud through their OBS. Yeah, the thing is that they're Bluetooth. They're USB to Bluetooth, and for a long time it worked really, really well. Well, they had been. All right, so Darren there to break. All right, so the question here now is, does this sound any better than it did before? Just making some adjustments here to see if there's any way this is going to continue to work out for the platform, or if we're going to have to make some adjustments. All right, so Darren goes up 2 racks here in this race to 10. Just a bit of a control speed on his break. Pots the ball, shapes the 1. Gives himself a little bit to the inside edge, where he's going to let the cue ball speed really just control itself to shape the 2. You can really just pot the ball here, hit it well, go from there. Well, I was wondering if it's breaking up through OBS or through their system because I'm watching how my mic is moving up. And so if they have me mic'd up really high, I have to turn down my actual mic input in the computer. So it's trying to see if I turn that down, I can get it to a reasonable spot where it doesn't break up. So 3 ball leads to the 4 really naturally here. It's gonna make the angle a little tight if he's a little stiff with the hit. He might come across table just a hair. He's just gonna go right into the 4 ball, right into the line, let it drift forward and shape it. But if you don't make the 3 ball, it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Gives ARRON the ability to bank this ball. That's what he's gonna go for here. He's going to safety. That's a really safe, smart play here. Now come through 2-rail kick potentially. Speed control becomes a little bit of a struggle here because obviously you got to let the cue ball go a little bit to make sure something touches the rail. Oof. Second time. Man. You know, the funny thing I've noticed, I think, over the last couple of years too, is how often I think the cushion of the diamond changes the ball direction enough versus other tables like a Brunswick or a Valley or, you know, anything else that the second time it almost never hits. If you didn't make it the first time, well, you know obviously missed, but the second time isn't going to be any nicer. It's usually going to be worse. Where sometimes, or a lot of times even on some of the other tables, you miss the first time, and the second time off the spin for the kick, it catches up differently and impacts the ball, and you get away with the miss. But the diamonds don't seem to allow that as often. All right, so ARRON pots his ball, gets decent shape. Just gotta hit it a little bit or a little less, whichever it is, just to make sure the ball speed keeps the ball to the pocket and then use some shape on the 7. It's a dangerous way to go about that shot. I think I think if you just take the angle, getting the ball to the pocket, you're better off than not because you end up with 2 different angles. Only 8 or more angles, even that. Just 2 angles that are natural that feel right. But instead, you're stuck here with this bank shot attempt. You can't come through the ball just as much as you want, so you really got to hit this well, really well. Yeah, that's kind of the struggle with that shot. Nothing wrong with it being there, but that's what the struggle looks like with that shot. You know, the thing about it too is I think with that previous shot, you spend more time with cue ball control and seeing that you can get the cue ball behind the 8 and shoot the 8 up table. Then you can focus that maybe a little more into your bank shot and see that if you do, it becomes a 50-50, a two-way shot at that point. But either way, the percentages are low. It's a difficult thing to deal with. Leaves DERON ability to get to the table here and get shape on the 9 ball and like his percentage to the 10. So he's going to like it. He almost didn't like what that 9 ball was going to do, though. He really kind of got off that stroke a little. Getting through the ball, but gets to the shape, gets the 10 in, does he? And he does. Whoa there, ball. And it does. So, kind of a little bit of a mental game maybe going on here, too, for Mr. Aaron CARLILE. Going up, going down 3 racks now, selling out some of these shots late to mid rack. And, I certainly could say I've been guilty of this as many of us have. Whereas, especially rotation pool, you gotta know where you're going to be on ball 7. Ball 6, ball 5, obviously too. But there's those you give a decent player 3 and 4 balls outs. Well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get out, and you're just going to sell those games out. So, paying attention to that early, selling yourself down, And sometimes if you're not getting there, that's okay too. But having just the mindset to know, well, I'm not going to go for this shot because this is why, and you don't want to just give that back again, especially once it's happened a few times. Darren coming in with a dynamic break. There is still a lot of pull left, John Bowman. Absolutely. I'm not saying it's over by far, but I'm just, that was just one of my concepts of observation of where, you start looking at adjustments mid-match, and like you're phenomenal at them, John. We all know you as a player, everything you can do, and the days when you're not doing as well, you're going to do something different now, or maybe you don't. But it seems like you make adjustments well, and all solid players do, because every day in life is not the same, and the adjustments have to be formidable, as you implement them. So Darren, I think he left himself enough room to hit this well, and he did. So Darren up 3, so he's getting a little aggressive now that he's up, I think, too. Really increased his speed in those last 2 shots, but potted them well. Just make sure he slows down for what matters. And see, yeah, that's dangerous though here, because this is where John Bowman was saying there's a lot of pull left, and yeah, now Aaron, starts to just find a little bit better of a gear, little bit better process or whatever he needs. Get something to work. That was a great bank shot. Stay out of the pocket. Left himself. You get there sometimes. It's not bad though. It's left himself. It's a roll through it. I think you want to roll through that. I don't know that you want to hit through that. I think you want to roll through that with pressure and just a little bit of love. All right, so Darren probably going to show us what a draw shot looks like here. Let's see what he gets with it. He's going to go to the pocket. That's not where you put that. I actually expected him to get off to the other angle of it, maybe get down tail to the other side of the ball. Use a bowling term there. I feel like he went Brooklyn. Yeah, Cassie, I was playing with, we were warming up together. And I was just being their battle buddy through it. And, I can certainly say I like the composure and consistency that Aaron showed. That he made a few mistakes against me where I was able to put the pressure back on him or get the racks. I just working with players. It's just someone for them to play with. Of course, they get all the breaks, but giving his breaks back and everything else, it's just the consistency of composure, keep doing the work, keep getting there, was so solid, and I was really impressed with him on that. And that might be where he can come back and get Darren here, because Darren does like to be aggressive. He kind of changes his speed and his gear a little bit, but you can't do that. That's unfortunate. I completely agree, Don Bowman. If he, and that's what I was kind of saying earlier. There's just some of those shots where he's got to get those, that if you take that risky shot out, and that risky shot you're talking about, I believe is somewhere between shot like 5 and 8, somewhere in there. You take that risky shot and you don't get it, and you go back to your opponent, and they're a decent, player, you're going to give that away, like we all know that are players. So if he stops taking that risky shot, realizes where he's getting with it, makes that good save, he gets ball in hand back. Well, absolutely. Now he gets to be the one to get out, and I know you know that, and a lot of players know that. But that's the adjustment I think Aaron, hopefully can get going here if he's not able to find that extra gear and start getting the racks. Yeah, yeah, Cassie, yeah, absolutely. I mean, anyone that can do that is always dangerous, because since Mr. Bowman's here, Mr. Bowman, pretty much always the coolest cucumber. He's always just cool. He's not ever anything but that. It seems like he's been frustrated a few times that I've ever seen him in my life. And Aaron looks like he can do the exact same thing, and that's awesome. And I'm typically pretty even keeled too, but I can get into my own head and get a little rattled, and then I start training a little too much, and then I just make myself worse on my own. And I know that. I mean, you know that, and then you work on it, right? That's the way you grow through any sport or life situation. So Aaron doesn't need growth there really. He's got that figured out. And he does it really well naturally, I believe. So that's awesome. All right, Darren getting a little fast coming into wanting to do the back cut. Is Aaron here a potential combo? But what do you get if you get the combo? So do you do that, or do you just maintain table control? No, he goes back and says, "I'm going to get you a little safety here." He's got to get him a little tighter than that, though. He left it a kick, and that's where the battle buddy person I play with every week, Mr. Jason Fig. He his safeties are always so tight that you have to be so creative to even try to get ahead, and that's just really good safety and pull function. It's something to work on, and through that process, I've actually gotten to where I can start doing that. And but that's the thing you start to look at is cue ball movement versus object ball movement versus tie up speed, so that way you can get them tied up and take away 70% of the shots that could exist to get ball in hand. In rotation pull is what you need, ball in hand, right? Especially if you weren't there where you needed to be at any point. Coming across the table well. Oof. Too much, though. Yeah, John Dolman is a pretty solid bar player. As bar players go. Maybe one day he'll figure it out, but it's hard to say. Oof, ooh, so close, and he seals the deal and says, I didn't make a hit, so I'm going to scratch just so you know for sure I'm for real here." But it's halfway. That always sucks when that happens. All right, so Darren, ball in hand, 6-2 in this race now. The thing here is, it looks like we got a few, just a mistake control situation going on. I feel like a little bit on Aaron's side. I really would love Aaron to dial that in and get back up here. Not let Darren continue to surmount such a lead. Rolls in the 10, uses the back edge of that diamond pocket. Doesn't leave himself a great shot on the 5 ball here. Be interested to see what Darren's going to try here because he's probably going to have to safety this. Right? But now that he's up a few racks, I don't. He might get exotic. He might be trying to get exotic with it go to the corner pocket. But man, that's bold. That's a lot. That is a lot. All right. So he knows he scratched that ball, stops it early. Here's the unfortunate side that Aaron has, though, is the 6-7. Just kind of weird. Just a little weird, John Bellman. John Bellman, you know about weird, right? Sometimes it gets weird, doesn't it? It's playable, but do you pot this ball and play to a safe for the 6? Maybe get it behind the 7 ball, tie something up, try to get ball in hand and get back out. forces himself to use a lot of reverse spin off the rail to impact the ball. Hopefully he called the corner, he's going for it. Gets it twice, doesn't. But you know, if you're going to miss that shot, that's a decent place to miss it because it doesn't leave a lot of options for Darren to pop the ball. And not a lot of great safety options. I mean, a lot of put a ball in between something maybe here and there. But if Darren's going to control the cue ball well, control the rock, he could get that cue ball over behind the 7, get the 6 up table, and start to really, make Aaron not like him, especially in this rack. Doesn't make it, gives Aaron the opportunity to really get back in this thing. All right, so it's been a little bit too, you guys. Is the audio still sounding a lot better? Does it still sound pretty good? Or are we seeing any crackling? Trying to make adjustments on the fly here is why I'm asking questions. All right, so Aaron leaves himself a thin angle. I think I just make sure this ball goes in because I'm gonna be able to deal with the shape no matter what it is. A little bit of inside English, maybe a little top. Just make sure it goes in. All right, cool. Thanks, John. Yeah, then I think that might have been the big part of the issue was EvoSports has made some adjustments to their audio stuff. And it's big improvements. It's really good, but I think what they did is they jacked up their audio output. So breaking point where it makes your voice break, which is really good though in the way against the commentators in English sports the ability to move their mic up or down depending on the match they're doing if it's close. So you can turn the mic up and speak really soft, or turn it down and speak at full volume. So you just got to figure those things out. Now it starts again. Maybe because I spoke louder because I'm watching my EvoSports. Let me turn it down again some more and see how that looks. See if it stops peaking out. See, now it's peaking out less. So maybe that should be better. Try to find the exact number and spot where it stops peaking out on EvoSports. Yeah. No, maybe, but it's okay. Thank you, Bowman. Cuts the 10 down now. All right, so leaves Darren a bank here. So Darren, I think he might be thinning this. Maybe he isn't going to make it. He's just going to thin it in, keep it straight off, up and down the rail. To a womp womp. Yeah, that's kind of what it is there. It's not a lack of ability from Aaron CARLILE here. He's had some opportunities, and so is Darren. Darren has just solidified his opportunities a little tighter, it looks like. And it's starting to add up here on the racks. It's not over, though. It's never over. Any moment, Darren's rolls or his outcomes or whatever it is could switch, and all of a sudden, Aaron will find something, and then we'll see something special happens. Really hoping to see if Mr. Carlisle pulls through and really starts to show up here. Gets the ball his direction, gets some 10 balls and some holes and some numbers beside his name. Darren's break's definitely working, I think, a little better than Aaron's is. They both their breaks have been fairly decent. Both of them have been putting Their second and third balls either in or near the side pockets, and getting downhill, back to shape on the one. Darren really just has to maintain some speed control on the table here and just play some good pull and get out. Or give Aaron, Mr. Carlisle, that's true, John, that is true. But now Aaron has a really nice opportunity here. Darren left Aaron, so a little bit of a tongue twister. Enough angle just to be able to hit the ball full and still get shaped back to the two. Touches that in beautifully. That's what we're looking for. So he's gonna walk around. I'd like him to walk around the table just a little bit more. Wamps. I really hope he does. I'm looking forward to him making a comeback. Really getting into this thing. Like the composure, like the stroke. Like him to slow down just a hair between shots. I'm willing to talk about it. Sped up a little bit there, but if he makes it, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter because he makes it. There he goes. He slowed down a little more. Perfect. Found his composure. Take your time. Oof. Hit it a little full, I believe. Could have been. I didn't quite get all the vision on it. At least I can see the replay or the feed. 1-2. Oh yeah, it was too full. It's a little too full, unfortunately, but gets away with not giving Darren a freebie. Don't know what Darren was actually going for there, but he doesn't give him back anything special. Going to come through with pushing on the ball here. Kind of snapped it. I think you have to push that ball a little bit better to make that combo work. You snap it, it just wants to make it sort of hinge off the other ball. Completely agree, John. Yeah, that's one of the things that's, I think, and I wonder if it's just the pressure or what it is, or I don't know what his, I don't play with it very often, so I don't know exactly what his is and consistency with that. But yeah, that's certainly always an issue when you have to deal with when you play a rotation ball, especially 10 ball, is knowing where you're going to be 3 shots out. Especially on your line. Looking at his Fargo, looking at his consistency, looking at everything, I speculate he's just having an off day, and struggling with it a little bit. New environment, different table, live stream, pressure, all of it does show up. But if he just find the balance to get back into that, it shouldn't be an issue for him because his consistency of stroking and getting through the ball well, like right now, he's really finding it again. And he just needs to get back to playing pull just like this. If he plays pull just like this, he can just come right back. Runs in the 10. Probably wanted to miss the 10 and shoot it to the top right corner, but either way, very manageable. Get in there. Oh, yeah, see. But you saw there was a slight pace change there with the shot, the confidence, and just a little bit too much time into the shot by the other comparison to the other ones. But maybe that wasn't the factor. Maybe it was just didn't spend enough time on focus on making the ball before he ever got down. And, it's really important that what's step one? Make the ball. You can't win. You can't get racks if you're sitting in your chair or you're standing beside the table, whatever it may be. Step one's make the ball. And it's a long learning process. And, like I myself have been working on learning that a lot this week, and had several different players over here just working on stuff. And that's like the number one thing that we're kind of working on for myself, which is the same thing I would maybe start to teach other people or everything else. Is that step one is make the ball. If you don't make the ball, who cares where? Yeah, it does show, John. You're pretty good at doing step one. I'd say that break was questionable cue ball control. If you were on the table still, but yeah, definitely questionable cue ball control. But ooh. See, and what we're looking at, I think there a little bit with Aaron. And man, I'm not trying to critique this person. We want to critique me or all that stuff. But the last rack he got there up to the table, it was just beautiful execution of stroke and technique, and little punchy there, a little just trying to make something happen. When I think the same process through consistency would have been better. Yeah, I was trying to see if I could get you to bite on that, John, and come back and say something, and I got there. So that's basically just a good shot. I did step one right, you know what I mean, right there, or hopefully I did. It was supposed to be funny. But all right, Mr. Carlisle, give us something, brother. All right, just look at that, beautiful. You know what? Make the ball, and you can shoot the next ball. So that's well done in this situation. That's just you go through two balls. So get there, you five ball. My, ooh, really wanted to see that happen because he was right there to really keep getting this thing going. And what happens here with this too, like Boldman and anyone else watching though, is just Garrett Darren's just getting some small little packaged gifts of just like, you know what? Make this one off angle shot between these four shots and you get out. And this time he didn't get away with it. This time Aaron should hopefully get up here and be a champion of the cut shot, get shape, and get out. Nice push on it. Let's no, 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 no. Yep. That's the look I have when I do that too, Aaron. I think we all have that look when that happens because although I did expect him to try to come a little more inside with that, to be able to have the ball speed stay down table of the one, I'm sorry, of the eight, so that way he could just take the pockets to shape for the 10. I know, John. Yeah, bruh. No. Deep exhale, right? And now let's do it again. That's That's the mental game with pool and so much too. Like when you're like right now where Darren is, you're just kind of in motion. And you're just Darren being a long time pool player and stuff too. He's not someone he's like overly excited. I mean, he's happy he's probably up, but he's just there, just like in motion. Just I just have to stay in motion this way and potentially get there. Unless something changes. And Aaron's a little more just what's wrong, or just maybe he's not thinking of it. He is. The fact that he really just stay with that really solid mentality of what it takes to win. Because I only have one thing. I only think I have the next shot, and that's all you ever really get with this or anywhere in life. It's just your next shot. So you have to get up and get ready for your next shot. Then just make your next shot. Make your next shot. Easier said than done, especially in these sort of situations. But the more you master that, the more you can understand that. Don't think about winning or losing because it's not about winning or losing technically. I mean, we all want to win, obviously, but a lot of times the journey and the path and the progress and the work is where the real magic of it is. Is Darren going to make all the balls? Jesus. And he kept the cue ball on the table that time, too. So, Darren here on the hill makes. How many balls did he make on the break? Makes 5 balls on the break. Just has to really kind of get good shape here, and he might be able to run this out. Let's see if he gets there. I know. Made 5 balls on the break on the hill. That's just dominating. Oh, that's that that's Pete Frampton L. He's so I'm on the wrong account. That's funny. All right, so I only know that one because it's Frampton, and the other is because I kind of know what the guy looks like, and I can see his photo. So, all right, so Darren Morgan looking at this shot real well, trying to figure out a little bit of obstruction behind him on his stroke because we do have a couple tight areas that we deal with here, but everyone has the same problem, which is a great way to explain it, according to Mr. Boltman, and I appreciate that summation. All right, so Aaron coming through this shot well. He will get shape and get out if he gets here. God, he's getting aggressive with it, though. Man, he beat that ball up. Hello, Mr. Frampton. Good to have you. You just maybe miss Darren, just make a ball chip a tooth. But however, he still made his ball, so here we're going to go see what he's going to have to do to get to this 9 ball with what he feels like he can get out of the spin and rotation of his shot here. Oh, just pounds it in to come up and down the table. I don't know what did he double hit? I'm not sure what he did there. Let's look here. I have a delay on my YouTube that I can watch and see what he does. I don't know why he just gave that back. I'm confused. Maybe you guys see what I missed, but it looked like a missed shot. I think he maybe was upset he just didn't make it, but so he gives ball in hand. Aaron pops the 9, shapes the 10 fairly well, and then Darren gives it back to him. I think I would have made Darren shoot that 10 ball. especially after as if I'm a competitor against Aaron, watching the attempts he's made that was that he missed earlier, then I would think and shoot that 10 ball just to see if we can't finish this up now, or at least get back to the table. Because obviously, to win, you're going to be at the table, not giving games away. But, all right, be respectful, I suppose. Showing respect, giving it up. But anyways, we don't know. Given, not given, we've let Aaron Carlisle have the rack after he got shaped on the 10, gives him the opportunity to break, but he pots the cue ball on the break to give Darren Morgan ball in hand. All right, so Darren estimating his table, looking at the clearance by the 8, potentially is tight. Let's see if we can take a different look at it here. See if it looks any better over here. Doesn't really help us. We can watch Darren and see what he does. Always, obviously, looks like maybe he's going to be a little bit thin there on that angle, but manageable still. Cue ball gets let loose, though, some for shape. Watching him hit some balls earlier, might expect him to let the cue ball use all the table and maybe the table next door. Let's see. Was he playing the 8? I don't know what he called because I'm not out there, but he must have called something because his body language is I'm still shooting. If he can get this to roll up table well, he might have what he needs to get out here. He's just got to get the cue ball to go up table well. Pot the ball, cue ball goes up well. Ball gets potted, cue ball goes up fairly well. It gets a little straighter than desired. Question now, is he going to come off the rail first to get shape on the 6? Does the 6 go in the bottom right or top right corner? If it goes, the 6 goes in the top right corner, he's just going to draw this back. And he's a few shots away from victory. And it does, but he gets a little big, I think, on the draw, but big enough to back cut it to the side. Feels like maybe. Looks like maybe. Strokes like maybe. It'll look at it twice. Take it to the dog park. Maybe pet it a little bit. Hit it in the pocket. And he does. Alright, looking pretty good here. Just 7 to the side. Get the cue ball to go a little bit off of a softer stroke. No, gonna roll it through. Try to make it a little too good, I feel like, potentially, was the fact there. Maybe didn't take enough time. I think just a little bit try to get it too good. Though he doesn't leave Aaron free, but he leaves him nice because if he thins this in, it almost naturally wants to have shape on the 9. Thin this on the side, natural shape on the 9. Cue ball speed control. Make it rack 4. There we go. Gets tight on the rail. Do have the wall obstruction of justice here, so that's what he's like. Oh man, so that does happen from time to time. But we do have a cue. It's very nice for this. A custom put together cue for making these shots that she's every bit as good as anyone else's cue that they own. So look at your speed control, make the cut, push follow just with a little bit of love. Just like that. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Carlisle showing you a clinic on how you make a shot that you can struggle with look like perfection. Puts himself in great shape here. Gets up to 4. Gets up to 4. Absolutely, Wamps. Here we go. Gotta believe one ball at a time. Absolutely. Keep them going. You know, now we've seen Darren Morgan has had two opportunities to finish this up, to close the deal, to seal it up, to say this is over, and that's that. However, minor little things here showed up, and Aaron Carlisle's composure to come back here, not start being, what the world, the situations call like someone being a tryhard, someone just want to come up and just like do more. He's kind of doing the same, and he's doing the same backhand off, finding some consistency now, trying his best, and actually he's doing his best. It feels like now to really find a gear, find the balance, and make something work. So let's see if this break gets him in the more rack. Great break. Cue ball stays out of the pocket. Oh, the power, I think, kind of backed off some through his stroke there. You didn't see his center balls really explode to the side pockets, which is what that typical 10-ball break can do there, especially when you're working it that way. And then you get downhill with the one ball, you get downhill with the cue ball, and then you're set up to start working on the rack. He has the concept, he has the break. But there, that was just, I think the timing missed, the speed, the clap, it just kind of clapped itself a little and left Darren tight on some balls, but able to get to the table and start to do some work here. Got close to his work there, but, Darren can take a little shot and make it a big shot. So it's a good skill set, able to do what you need to do, but don't do too much what you need to do either, especially when you get in a rack situation like this. You start to almost default to more like a different game in a way, to where you're using skills that are more like prone to players that play like straight pull or one pocket. I know Darren does play a lot of straight pull, but no one pocket. So, but he can go back and use some of these skills where you are using your ball potting technique and pattern recognition to really start taking these tight patterns of balls and working them into positive directions. He does get the hit and is able to put Aaron in a place where he can have a little bit of difficulty making a solid impact, but it's still there. He's just gotta execute well here. Ooh, did he call it though? Did he call it? Earlier in the chat, John Bowman said, "Call something, call something." Let's see. Looks like the chalk's in the hand still, so he called that. It's a great shot. He got it and still got shape. Enough shape at least. Go for the bank. And the pocket just gets the ball perfectly delivered. I think Amazon may hit that shot. Maybe not, but anyways. Just to save. Just to save, but don't let it all the way out past the 8-ball, kind sir. Take the 8-ball away. It's not his fault. 8-ball moved. Everyone knows that. No, all right. So Darren here has an opportunity to make it. Go for a shot here. Goes end to end, lines it up, puts the 9-ball just enough in the way that I think that 3-ball still can go in the corner pocket. We're talking top left corner. I think it still can go. Let's see if he's going for that. Just going for a decent hit, I think, with a safe. He does have a solid ability here to get away with some changes. I don't want to say misses, just the way you're going to change the table around. As long as that 6 and 8 are sitting a little wonky there, unless you can find the angle to the 6, and he was just given that as a gift. So let's see. I'd like to see Aaron, Mr. Carlisle, shape the 6, get this rack. Nice way to stun that ball right off center. That is a nice shot. Gives him the opportunity to have a little more wiggle room when making adjustments for the 6 to the 7. You take the medicine from the 7 to the 8, but the medicine shouldn't taste too bad if the ball goes in. The diamond table does it again. Man, stuff. But is he tied up on the 9 here or not? I don't think he is. If it was going to the 7s when we're talking there, so let me back up there. Had that fallen in, would it be tied up on the 9? I don't think it would be. I think he has room. I think he was there. It just became unfortunate. So hard to see from this view. The moment waiting to see what the players are actively, I guess, doing. They're taking a very short player intermission. They have not thrown up the player intermission banner yet, though, so obviously it's just maybe a quick little break, and Darren's coming back to the table here. He's got a little trouble between the 8 and the 9, but I'm saying little, a tiny trouble. It's really just don't do too much. Maybe that's true, John, but at least it was fast. He left himself now where he's going to have to come to the outside angle of the 8 some, but which isn't bad though, because if you just let it happen, you can just get right to the 9 down table with so many little variables to just hit the ball. And then obviously the 9 to the 10 to the top left, not a big deal. Or shouldn't be a big deal here, but don't get like that. I feel like that's one of those shots where the shot is actually ball rolling into the pocket speed, which, pocket speed. And if you do that and just give it a little bit of angle change, don't manipulate the roll of the ball, you get to shoot the same side pocket. Or you can be a little more aggressive with it and give it a full hit and go across the table and put the 9 in the other side pocket. But either way, execution matters. Look at this. Look at this. That is a beautiful shot again, Mr. Carlisle. So Aaron coming back with some of these shots that are just textbook great. Form and consistency coming through, but steering the ball off center, some of that really didn't help him too much. I think some hesitation of stroke change, but left Darren a mighty tough back cut, but on the hill, I think he's just going to send this thin to win, put some spin, miss a pocket. No, he doesn't. Oh, okay. Let's see Carlisle here. Just repeat what he did previous to the 10 ball. Make the stroke happen the same. Get the speed control, hair thin. Let the ball roll with just a little bit of love to the pocket. And he gets there. Wamps, you got a little bit of a heartbreak, but it showed up that he got away with it a little bit. Got a little steep on the angle for Darren. I don't know if Darren just missaw that shot or whatever happened there, but however, he gets up one more rack, so we have a 5-9 race now. He started. Absolutely. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see who's got it today, because he was 3 racks down. Darren had 2 solid opportunities. Had a 5-ball putting break that was a really nice out. Just barely missed getting there. And now Aaron the other side of the table, and it's shifted some to 5-9. So we got 3 more racks on his side. Now I think it's possible you see the player start to shift a little feeling of thought where, Darren's starting to maybe think a little more about, control defense holding off Carlisle. Whereas, Aaron's starting to find a little more rhythm, a little more rack speed, a little more confidence, a little more of, be consistent, do what I do and do it well, and then start to just continue to keep himself grinding his way into momentum, into getting into this thing. Pushes out there, 10 ball after the break. You can do a push shot, put it wherever you want. Let your opponent decide yes or no if they want to shoot it. I'd be shooting this as a safety shot myself, just because over by maybe it's the 6-4 over there. I just don't want to really deal with that too much yet, so I don't want to make a ball and fight yet. One more ball in hand, and then I would potentially go for starting to manipulate the rack just to get a little bit of presence at the table. Is that the best way to go about it? I haven't figured out yet, but it's certainly a way to go about it. So Aaron got a fairly straight in one ball here. Oof, misses it by about almost half a diamond, at least a quarter. Mr. Morgan, Darren Morgan, a pretty thin back cut if he wants to put it in the top right pocket, which is probably what he wants to do if he wants to get shape. But maybe he's just going to safety here. He was playing really aggressive earlier. You might see him start to play a little more defense. Apparently not. Makes the 10-6 weird, but manageable still because the 5 really is near there. Draw back and reshape that, which fairly straight here makes an opportunity for him to do that. Extremely likely. Kind of bumps the ball, I think, a little bit there. You're allowed to bump the ball a little bit. It's just natural. Comes around. It gets in the way, though. Oof. Doesn't like that. I think he might. No, okay, I was on the wrong ball. My apologies. He does like that. All right, so kick shot here for Aaron. Unless you're Lawrence Frampton Jr., Mr. P, it's a jump shot. Everything's a jump shot. They're all jump shots, right? He's not going to like that. No, this is definitely a kick shot. It's got a little bit of a fly ball in the way, I think, of the natural angle he'd like to use, but certainly plenty of angle to two rail or one rail with spin. Might one rail with spin and try and get the 4 in the side pocket. Got to really push the spin on the ball to do that, though. So it's where you're seeing him really calculate and look at some of these decisions he wants to make here, because you could also do two rail. If you come two rail, you come through. I think just a hair, maybe either a second diamond down from the top right corner. And then that's where you use your natural field stroke of just, nope, he's going to go the way that I think I would go to, which is this direction. Did he call the pocket? And then did he make a good hit? That was a pretty good hit, but let me watch the replay here. Or the delay at YouTube. I think he still hit the 4 first. It was close, but I think the 4 moved first. This is actually a really good shot for him to have here. If he has this adjustment experience of hitting this thin ball and moving the cue ball around off of how thin it gets, how much speed it can have, or that you can take off of it to break balls out and get shape. But he says no, thank you. Okay. That is an ability that takes a lot of work, practice, and experience to understand how to change that little bit of pinch angle or spin or speed where you can come through that thin angle and really put the cue ball almost anywhere you want on the table if you're good at it. All right. Little cat and mouse game now. Aaron Carlisle definitely playing the percentage where he stays in control, or at least in a place where he can at least get back to the table and make his next shot. See if that's hitting it all. See what Aaron gets with this. Yeah, that's the thing there. Every time you approach that sort of shot, that's one of the ones where you just have to know that what that ball does and how to make sure it doesn't do that and keep the manipulation of that ball away from the pocket. Because you can hit that so many different ways and get away with it. All right, so that was unfortunate, and I think he just kind of just thought it was a little more automatic than what it was. I'm not sure. But now Darren might get to hit this full and just let it rest and shoot six on the side. But he does not do that. He's not going to play that touchy of a situation here. He's going to go with putting some stroke on four shots because I think that's what we're going to see here based on the angles we're looking at. He's going to use his ability to control the cue ball with a stroke to just get ball to ball to ball. Because he might go 3 rounds here, he might go 1, 2, but he's just going to use his stroke ability. I expect a draw shot here, potentially coming off the rail to shape the 10 to the top left corner. It's good ball speed control as well. All right. So that is it. Darren Morgan to take it. Aaron Carlisle making a valiant effort to work on it and come back. Not quite getting there, though. Really enjoyed this match today. Really enjoyed commentating for everyone. My name is Gregory Jensen with Distinguished Billiards. We're sponsored by Salado, EvoSports, Jam Up in the House, Evo Qs, Rhino Qs, the Dibs Let's Go group. And if you're interested in some action in any way in a match, just reach out. Reach out to me on Facebook or anywhere else that you can find the content with Distinguished Billiards, and we will do what we can. All right, I'm going to go shake some hands. Get wrapped up.